Hello, I'm Rachel from Dwensa Garden in Ireland, and you're very welcome to this video all about planting Dutch irises. Now, Dutch irises are amazing flowers that brighten up everybody's garden in May or June. So they flower at a time when there may be a bit of a lull in flowering and kind of bridge the gap between the tulips and the later flowering perennials. So I'm very delighted to have gotten my hands on about 500 Dutch irises, which I'm going to plant in the garden today. Now, I have three types. I have a beautiful tall one, which is a pale pink with white on the inside, called Carmen, and she's going to be used over in this side of the garden, what I call the my Joshy's garden, because the colour theme is pink in here. I'm also planting the beautiful Van Vliet, which is equally tall as Carmen, and finally the rust coloured red Ember, which I absolutely love and already have a few of here in this part of the garden. So I think the three will look great together because the colours match very well. And I guess, well, without further ado, let's get on with the planting. So you're very welcome to the video, and if you're new here you should know that I garden in what roughly equates to as hardiness zone 9. Now, we don't have that system here in Ireland, so just take it as a rough guide of what might come through the winter and what might not. And today, as you can see, I'm planting three varieties of Dutch irises in these borders. We're going to plant in a newly revamped border here. I'm pointing at things with the hurry. It looks very dangerous, but it's not dangerous at all. I'm going to plant over here and generally everywhere within this section of the garden. And I have some tricks up my sleeve for how to plant, which I'm going to share with you today, including these bamboo sticks. I'm sure you're wondering what these are for. Well, I'll tell you in just a moment. And these bulbs have been ordered from a company in the Netherlands called Bulby. So if you are looking for Dutch irises yourself, then please do check out their website or websites, because they have two. They have a site for shipping to the UK and also a second one for shipping within the EU. So if you go on there and find something that appeals to you, don't forget the discount code DWENSA10, which gives you a 10% discount from now up until the 1st of December. So before I get on with the first step of sprinkling these bulbs in the border in their flowering positions, I should just mention that the time to plant Dutch irises is in autumn, preferably sooner, and I'm planting at the end of September. September is a great time to get them in the ground because it gives the roots a chance to grow before the hard frosts of winter really set in, but you can do it at any time in autumn. Now, I have to bear in mind colour schemes, and at this time of year it's very difficult to see what is going to be in flower in May and June when these guys pop up. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is to open up my bag of Carmen. This is the pink one. Oh, I can't wait to see these flowers come up. And you should know that I always order from Bulby in the Netherlands because they have beautiful, healthy bulbs. Just look at that. Absolute perfection in terms of freshness and size. And their prices are also very competitive. So do check out the website if you're in the business of looking for bulbs, especially if you're looking for a large number of bulbs this autumn, because you won't do better than Bulby. Now, these I'm going to scatter, let's not say scatter, I'm going to place in groups of 3, 5 or 7 here in the border. This is the pink one. Generally speaking, when planting, we use odd numbers because it looks more naturalistic. So 3, 5 or 7. I think once you get past 7, you can't really tell whether it's 9 or 13 or 15 or 14. So 3s, 5s or 7s are generally the numbers used. Dutch irises should be planted in full sun for best effect. Plant bulbs at a minimum of 2 inches apart, that's 5 centimetres. To give your bulbs the best chance of returning year on year and reflowering, you should plant them quite deeply, 6 inches or 15 centimetres deep. Well, it's quite easy to see with the Dutch iris which way up to plant. So the pointy side goes up and the basal plate, which has a few dead roots on it, goes down. Easy peasy. For every group of irises that I plant, I'm going to mark the space with these bamboos. And the reason for that is I plan on planting some alliums in here afterwards, blue alliums. And I don't want to dig up my irises when I'm trying to get the alliums in. Unfortunately, I feel I have to cut back these perennials so that I can see what I'm doing and get those bulbs into the ground. It seems such a shame to put the garden to bed for the winter so early, but I do remember that somewhere in this clump I have a gap. It just goes to show the old adage that nature abhors a vacuum is correct. So there is a hole right here in the middle, but it's been filled in with geraniums and this floppy-doppy Lobelia bridgersii. Now this spot here behind the little pond is prepared. I did put a few biennials in there, and now I'm going to dot some more of these beautiful irises around. And with the red ember ones, I'm going to try something a little bit different. So whereas beforehand I put in groups of 3, 5, 7, as I explained before, but with these ones I'm going to just dot them around the borders, just one in various different spots. And the reason for that is that I would love a bejeweled effect of little dots of colour popping up here, there and everywhere. And the great thing about Dutch irises is that they take up no space in the border. The bulb takes up practically no space and the foliage takes up very little space, and then you have a beautiful flower at the top, which is always welcome. So let's try that. Now these dusky brown Dutch irises look fantastic with a variety of colours. They do great with pink and they do great with blue, which is just perfect for this part of the garden. And there we go, that's the very last of the irises in the ground. So in this part of the garden next May, June, it's going to be ablaze with beautiful pink irises and beautiful dusky browny red irises. The white ones are elsewhere in the garden, but it's going to look amazing in here. And I might have a few more tricks up my sleeves in terms of companion bulbs that I'm going to put in here in Joshy's garden to make a fantastic early summer or late spring display next year. I hope you enjoyed this video on planting Dutch irises. I hope you might feel inspired to try some for yourselves. They really do add such a fantastic pop of colour into the garden at a time when there's very little else about, or a kind of gap time. And if you do want to try some Dutch irises, don't forget the website Bulby, and I will put the link to their websites down below in the description. The one that ships to the EU and the one that ships to the UK. So choose the one that's right for you and use the code DUENSA10 to get 10% off. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you on the next video. Bye!